So in this video, we're going to have a look at how you can speed up the decision-making process if you're awaiting an innovator decision, speaking in particular about extensions and indefinite leave to remain. So you're in this invidious situation. If your application's been delayed, then you're effectively landlocked, because if you leave the UK, your application will be deemed to be withdrawn. So you're basically stuck in the UK. And usually if you're an innovator, you'll have some international business, or you may have family overseas. And if you're waiting for weeks or even months, then you can't leave the UK without withdrawing your application, and then also create equal problems for the family, right? If your application is withdrawn, then the family's applications would have to be refused. So what can you do to speed things up? Well, the MP engaging your member of parliament, I've found not to be particularly effective. I mean, the MP will get you a quick update, but that update may be just, oh, we're making further inquiries, basically. So one way to do it is, if you do have children, minor children that is, then they may be the basis for an application to expedite. And by this, I mean that the Home Office, in considering in their conduct, must take into account the best interests of children that are affected by their actions, including the action of delaying a decision. So let's say there's a situation where, for example, the child has to be abroad because it's in their best interest, because let's say a family member is passing away, or there's some tragic circumstances, or let's say they need to attend a funeral, or there's some, say, medical reasons for them needing to be overseas. Now, those are all potentially compelling grounds on which you can, if it's the case, right? It, of course, depends on the facts. It must be genuine, in good faith, a true, accurate, etc. But if there are reasons for your child to be outside of the UK, then they are affected by the delay as much as you are, if they've made, in-country applications and they're effectively landlocked with you. So this, I think, is an underutilized potential pathway for speeding up a decision. So it would need to be supported by evidence, and it should be appropriate evidence. If you do want some help from me with this, then you can get in touch with me on my consultation service. But basically, it would be some submissions to the Home Office stating that it's in the best interests of your child to attend X event overseas, or to have the medical treatment, or whatever it may be. And you should make it very, very clear in the application that you're not withdrawing your application, because a careless caseworker could think, okay, they're writing about leaving the UK, therefore we're going to, we understand that this is withdrawn. So you should highlight that you're not withdrawing your application. You're simply highlighting that your child needs to leave the UK, if that's the case, and you recognize that they cannot do so without the application being withdrawn, and therefore you're asking the Home Office to expedite your application, because your application needs to be determined for their application to be determined. And if they accept that request, then you'll get your quick decision. Now, just to warn you, it may lead to yet a further round or rounds of questions if there's outstanding matters. But if you're in a position where you've answered all of the Home Office's questions and they've just been sitting on it for an inordinate amount of time, then this is one pathway to getting the decision. At the very least, it would speed up the process. And if it's dates, if it's time sensitive and linked to a particular event, then it will be all the more compelling, because you need that absolute deadline, really. I mean, let's say that the child needs medical treatment that can best be given overseas. That may not be time sensitive in respect of a particular date, like surgery being booked or something like that. It might be a time period, but the more specific you can be with the time frame, the better. And there's various ways of escalating this if you don't get the response from the Home Office. But if you are in a position where you do have children and they are affected and these circumstances arise, then it's one way to speed up getting a decision. I hope you found that helpful. I have a consultation service. If you would like to speak with me, you can get me on the link below. You click on the link and select a time.